Hi, Lily.
Hi, David.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're trying to introduce the course as a whole here.
And it's difficult to know where to start.
Absolutely. I think, well, we'll start by sort of, talking maybe a bit about what's in the introduction part of this. We see most of this as optional, really.
Yeah. And so we got the background to who we are, and it's not just us. I think that's important to say. We've got a much wider, much more diverse team with different viewpoints and skills than initially envisaged by myself, anyway.
Absolutely, and it's something which has sort of happened quite naturally once we started talking to people about the course we were creating. Actually, they got interested and they became part of it. It was amazing. I mean, we didn't expect this, but it sort of resonated. The aim of the course was something which actually, people then jumped on board and said, no, we've got a voice here. We want to contribute. And that's been great. And so our team as a whole is an interesting thing, we think, but it's definitely optional. Then we're also talking a little bit about who the course is for.
This bit's probably quite useful, just to know the kind of the general audiences that there is in mind, and how that audience changed as we had different people jump on board, like you said.
Exactly, and spoiler alert, but it's for data scientists, it's for their managers and people who they collaborate with. That's broadly it, and we do feel that audience will consume the course maybe differently, and that's part of what we're hoping people will take out of this introduction video, is that there are some decisions to be made as to how you consume the course as a whole. I mean, this is maybe where it's not quite as simple as some of a normal course would be, where we expect everyone to follow the same path.
Yes, yes. You give options, you give different routes, and we go into that in a lot of detail. That's particularly seen in the data consideration section, but we kind of explain that a little bit more as you move to that section.
Absolutely, and I think before we jump to that section, there's sort of the two other bits, the background, which we definitely see as optional, but quite good fun. I mean, we like that section.
I like that section.
Yeah, and the course overview, which we don't see as optional. We think everyone should go through the course overview. That's where we're trying to sort of, at one point we wanted to call that the course in a nutshell, didn't we? So we're trying to cover a lot of the key points in a very concise way. And we think that's relevant to all audiences. And consuming that, we hope, will help people to sort of understand what they can get out of this course in different ways, and where they want to go in more detail.
Absolutely. And then we have our two parts, which is more the meat of the course, which is more, so we have the data considerations and the ethical considerations.
Absolutely, and in some ways, the data considerations is what we conceived the course on, and the ethical considerations is when actually we started developing the course. It was brought to our attention just how important this was, and it grew into a whole section of its own. And we're really grateful to our partners who put in so much work to make this a reality. But the course was conceived really on the data considerations, and that's where the complexity lies.
Yes. So that's where we have these three different streams of consuming the course, and it's
we
hard
won't
to know
go into details there. We shouldn't go into details. They can watch that part of it, but maybe it's worth saying that for the practitioners, they can get their hands dirty and they can try and consume the course by analyzing data. For people who are sort of maybe on the sort of side of things, they can be sort of going through case studies and understanding case studies in depth, and then through that getting some of the core concepts. And for those who just want the abstract concepts, they can just go through and actually just go through the content in a very simple way, tied back related to the case studies, of course. So anyway, that detail's there. I've got into too much detail, sorry. Let's move to the conclusion.
The conclusion. This is where I really enjoy this idea here, where we've linked into these other courses.
So we better make sure that everybody's aware of what we mean by the other courses. We were part of a team of 7. We were one of 7 teams. Is the right way to phrase it. who were building responsible AI courses for the Turing Institute as part of a single initiative. And as we discussed with the other teams at the beginning, we realized that actually our course is somehow rather different. I mean, a lot of them are going into much more detail in specific elements. And we then felt, well, okay, we don't need to do that. We're not trying to compete with them. Everybody's doing their own thing. We felt, our role is in some sense for, people who have knowledge, they're data scientists, that's our target audience. But we're trying to give them this very high level overview of sort of, misconceptions, misrepresentations in data, how they sort of occur, the general ideas behind them, and the ethics. But there's other courses which go into more detail and are more practical on specific components on any given part almost of our course. And these are the other courses. And so in the conclusions, we've enjoyed talking to all the other partners about their courses and how we believe their courses add value. So we hope people will enjoy our course and find it useful. But I do think that, what makes it much more powerful is all of these open courses together are way more than anyone could be on their own. And so that the conclusion, I'm really quite excited. I hope people will enjoy that and enjoy the way that this links into the other courses.
Much like the protein folding example, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later. Yeah.
Different things linking.
No, this is nice. Well, let's hope people enjoy it. Let's hope people have now a view of the course as we see it and get stuck in to the bit they want to consume next.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.